You've probably heard this 100 times. Just write a great book and readers will find you. But here's the truth most authors don't want to hear. Even the best book in the world won't sell itself. What actually creates consistent book sales and calm confidence in your business isn't the book, it's the system behind it. Hi, I'm Narelle Todd, founder of Get My Book Out There. I help fiction authors create simple, elegant marketing systems that sell more books without burnout. In this video, we're going to talk about why your marketing system is the single most important part of your author business, even more important than your books. I know. I'll share the mindset shift that changed everything for me and my clients, the 3 core pillars that make a system actually work, and how you can start building yours today. And if you want to see exactly how this system works step by step, check out my link in the description. Okay, for now, let's dive in. So when I first started coaching authors back in 2012, I thought success was about talent and time. I quickly realized it's about systems. I want to share with you a couple of realizations that I came to when I first started working with authors around systems. So when authors came and worked with me, their thing would be, my book is really good and I don't understand why it's not getting out and about. When we then looked at what was happening, I noticed that they were working all hours of the day and night and on weekends. It was pretty much a 7-day business. So they were writing and then the rest of the time they'd spend doing marketing, trying to get an audience for their books. Their stress levels were incredibly high and their income was fairly inconsistent. Now, income as an author can do peaks and troughs simply because it follows what's happening in society. In America, in the holidays, we tend to see a bit of a dip around the summer period when parents are typically busy with their kids and don't buy as many books. So there is that natural kind of change in book sales, but what people who were coming to me were seeing was that it may be low in the summer period, but it was also low at other periods. And then they'd get a peak, but they wouldn't know where that came from or how that happened. So one of the things that I did was then go behind the scenes and have a look at what was their system, what were they using. I'm a great believer that a system actually saves you time in the long run. It takes a bit of time to set it up to begin with, naturally, because you're documenting everything you do and you're actually testing. But once you have that system in place, it's then fairly easy for you to follow. And of course, one of the benefits of a system is that you can then get help in. You can outsource, you can get a VA or a PA who can come and help you. And you have specific tasks that you can give them that you know and they know are actually leading towards more sales. You're not just giving them something to, feel busy and because a coach told you that you need to hire help. So we had a look behind the scenes and it was obvious that systems was the thing that was needed. Now, one of the things that came out of that was that a lot of creatives said to me, I don't want a system because it doesn't work for me. As a creative, often things were done on the spur of the moment. Sometimes there was no thought as to having a planned release. Often releases were just, I've written the book, I've finished it, it's edited, I'm going to put it on sale. There was no thought process or kind of pulling back and saying, okay, let me put a launch plan in place so that I can really maximize the first 30 days of the launch. So it was write the book, release, write the book, release. And that sort of thing creates burnout. So one of the first things I did was put in place systems. And this mapped out what worked for that particular author. Now, you yourself may be somebody who's highly organized and you have your own system. But if you are a creative and you don't have your own system, I'm here to tell you that you can create a system that works for you and for the way your brain works and for the way your business works. This is the beauty about tailoring a system for you. You don't have to fit into somebody else's square peg. You can be a round peg in a round hole. So this is where you now get to create something that works for you, that makes sense to you, and uses the marketing tactics that you want. So one of the things that was common with my authors who were really going ahead in leaps and bounds was that they were consistently using a system. So one of the things that was happening was, when we then drilled down into the system, was we discovered that authors were using tactics that they had been told to use, but often there was no structure around that. One of the things I have found is that there's at least 50 different tactics. There's a lot more than that, but 50 main ones about how you can get your book out and visible. What authors were doing was testing something. If it didn't work, they would then move on to something else. And by testing, I don't mean the way that we test inside Get My Book Out There, but they would give it a whirl for a couple of weeks or even days. If it didn't do anything and they didn't see immediate sales, they would move on to something else. That sort of stuff is exhausting. I mean, not only are you putting new things into play, but you have to learn how the different things work. So an example would be if you were had decided, somebody had told you that you needed to be on TikTok. You would now need to go and learn all the things about TikTok, how to do it, and if you weren't familiar with how to do video, you'd need to learn video as well. The same for Instagram. Let's do Reels. Everybody was on the Reel bandwagon, so we would have to learn how to do Instagram, you'd have to learn how to do Reels and videoing and all the bits and pieces that go into it. So not only do you have this wide selection of tactics to choose from, you also have all the learning and all the admin around being able to apply that tactic to your business. And it was no wonder that authors were coming to me feeling stressed and feeling like nothing was actually working. We used to compare it a lot to, like flinging spaghetti at a wall and seeing what would stick. So typically what we would find would be that some things would stick, but not for long, because that's where the consistency would come into play. So visibility isn't necessarily about doing more, it's about doing what works consistently. So what happens when you move between tactics all the time because nothing is sticking is that you're actually working harder. You're using all the hours in the day on your marketing, and that takes time away from your writing, and naturally you're going to feel resentful about marketing. All too often I hear from authors who say, I hate marketing, I didn't come into this business to market, I just want to write my books. The thing around that though is that once they have a system and once they find the tactics that work for them, they actually love marketing. Like most of my clients now come to me and say, when we do testimonials and things like that, and I check in, how did you go in the first couple of months with me? And they'll all say, I actually love marketing now. It makes sense. And that's what happens when you put something into place that works for you. So let me just explain to you what I mean by what works for you. We all think in a certain way and we all have strengths and weaknesses. Part of what you do when you create a marketing system that works for you is that you look at all of those things and you say, okay, I'm really good at this, or my personality is a little bit more quieter than someone else. So I don't want to say be seen on video, but these sorts of things I can do. I really connect with readers and with people when I'm one-on-one or when I'm in a small group situation. So you may decide that a group would be a better place for you to spend your time because you can get that kind of intimate feel and it's not so overwhelming. Say if you are a gregarious person and you're very outgoing, being live on video may be just the sort of thing that you love because you can be just yourself and people respond to that energy. There is no right or wrong energy. if you are a quieter person, an introvert, you are just as valuable energy-wise. People respond to your energy just as much as somebody who's out there and a more gregarious personality. So part of what we do is we show you who you are, who your personality is, your strengths, the sorts of things you're not so good at. You don't have to learn necessarily to be good at the things you're not good at. That's part of your personality, that you have strengths over here and things not so strong over here. Let's work with your strengths. And that's what happens when you come and work with me inside your signature Get My Book Out There marketing system. This is all about creating a system that makes sense to you. Because what I have found is authors who are consistent with their marketing are the ones who make the strides ahead, who are in it for the long term, who are willing to put in the hours and the work on things that actually are going to move sales for them. And it's this consistency that actually does that. And when you have a system that works for you, it's easy for you then to come to work each day and say, right, I know these are the things I need to do. You're very clear about that sort of thing. There's no kind of second guessing or what should I do today, or no need to go and buy the latest thing out there that everyone is going on about, that this is the secret thing that's going to increase your book sales. It becomes now a very calm process, and your marketing is there. You know what to do. You know the sales that are going to come from it. You're testing it, you're measuring it, and you understand what works for you and for your books. And I think that's one of the proudest things that I've found with the authors that I work with. They understand themselves so well now, and they understand their books and they understand their readers. And from that, they're really able to create this robust, healthy sales network. One of the things that I'm doing at the moment is a 1 million KU page reads challenge, and running it with a small group of people just as we test out how will this work, have we got the right sort of things in place. And really what it is one little task or small task, focused task might be a better word, that they do each day. And that's all they have to do on that day. But what they're going to see is that as we go through the 30 days, that momentum builds, and simply by turning up each day and doing one focused task, which is centered on making book sales, which is centered on themselves knowing their books, knowing their reader avatar, when they do that, their sales increase. Now, some have seen a fairly big jump in their page reads, and it's been a week in. Others are seeing steady sales, but not dramatic. And this is where mindset comes into play. So the things that I say to the authors who aren't seeing the dramatic shifts is that you need to allow that momentum to build. You need to allow your message to get out there, and then the momentum will happen. But once again, we cycle back around to consistency. So I want to share with you the 3 success factors that I've found for author success. There's clarity, confidence, and consistency. So with clarity, you are never going to feel lost or overwhelmed again. You have a marketing system in place that makes sense. You have a marketing system that lets you know what steps need to happen. You know when you wake up in the morning and you go to work, or you go to work at night after work, you know what you need to do. So you're not wasting time trying to work out, well, what should I do now? Will this work? Maybe I need to try something different. You already have the framework in place for what works for you. Then we have confidence. This is really about mindset and about the ability for you to know that your books are really good, that your work is worthy of being sold and people buying. So you value yourself, and your self-doubt moves away. So this makes launches easier because you know that your book is great. You know that someone is going to enjoy reading it, and so of course you're going to be happy to then launch it and spread the word about it. So that fear is removed about, oh, is my book good enough? Or, what will somebody say about it? You're going to get some 1 stars. I think that's a given in today's world. Everyone's got trolls. So once you feel confident though in yourself, the 1 stars can then become either something where you can look at and go, okay, there's some value in that, or they're not even talking about my book, which does happen, or it's obvious they haven't read my book, or this person doesn't get me, and that's okay. You're also going to get those 5 stars, and you're going to use that to build your confidence and to understand that you are reaching the readers that you want to reach. Our third key is consistency. So this is where your visibility and sales become reliable rather than random. And this is by you doing things consistently, the same things consistently. And I think the consistency is probably of the 3 the hardest, because this is the one that we struggle with. I know I do. I find it really challenging at times to do the same thing over and over again. I want something new. It's a bit like, you get that endorphin rush, and it's like, I just love learning and I love doing something new. But of course, what that means is that my consistency is not so good, because I'm always looking to do something new. What I have found though, my own system, is that I have a day where I use to find new things, do new things, but then I also have other times in the day where I am consistent. I've got my checklist and I run through that. So I know I've kind of got the perfect balance. So you may find that you're the same. You don't want to be beholden to a system, but at the same time, you know that a system is what is going to help you increase your sales. So you may do something like I do, and you have a system, and then you also have some freedom to go do your own thing at certain times and certain days. But you're still doing your checklist, doing the things you know will increase your sales. And of course, the more you see sales, the more you will want to do your checklist and be consistent with that, because of course, who doesn't love sales? So I want you to have a think about that in your own business. So do you have the clarity you need? Do you have the confidence you need? And are you consistent where you need to be in your own system that you have for your business? So you deserve to write from a place of peace, knowing that your books will keep selling, because your system is quietly working behind the scenes, making sure that that happens. So within your signature Get My Book Out There marketing system, I go through these 3 keys. So we talk about clarity and show you how that works in the business. We talk about confidence and how that works. What does that look like? And we also go through consistency with regards to checklists and those sorts of things. I want to share with you the author growth pyramid. This will show you how clarity, confidence, and consistency work together within a system. And it's one of the things that I go through in your signature Get My Book Out There marketing system. This is the thing that it's based on. So we work through 3 things. Firstly, we have our foundation pieces, and these are the things that you need to have in place in order for you to scale and grow in a calm way, rather than perhaps in a hectic way, or you simply just can't scale at all. So first off is mindset. This is where you need to tap into your ability to be resilient, to bounce back, to be proactive, to be comfortable and confident in yourself and your work. The other thing that we look at in here is your branding, who your reader avatar is. Now, in case you haven't heard of avatar, that's simply who your ideal reader is. Who is the person that you write for? Who's the person most likely to buy your books? We identify that person. We look at it, how it all works within your brand. And then we also have a look at your business model. There are so many different ways that you can organize your business. But if you don't know what your model is, so for example, you could be a hybrid between some books in KU, some books are wide, or you could be all wide, or you could be all in for KU. There are different tactics and strategies depending on your model. You could write to market, and by that I mean you follow very closely what the trends are, and you are interested in writing for genres that are trending, rather than staying with a certain genre that you love or genres that you love, and that's what you consistently write in. Once again, neither one is right or wrong, it's simply your system. So it's about putting into place the model and what's going to work for your business model. So they're the foundation pieces. These are the ones that give you the clarity about what your marketing is going to look like, what kind of tactics you're going to use, probably even what your sales are going to look like, because each one has a fairly distinctive sales pattern as well, and that's something that a lot of authors are not aware of. Our next layer in our pyramid is one where it's about growth and selling. So here we're going to be looking at your marketing mastery. So it'd be things like your email system. What does that look like? How often do you send that? Do you even send one? Do you only do a book launch email? All of these things come into play in email, and we step through how to create a really robust system that actually works in with another thing that we do here, which is social media. I encourage you to choose between 1 and 3 channels to work in. I wouldn't do any more than that unless you have a team. So if you are just starting out, or if your sales are not in a position for you to be able to hire someone, then definitely just stick to 1 or 2 channels, because that's all you can realistically manage. Because this is not just about you getting your information out there and being present on those sites, but you also need to maintain it, which of course we come back to the consistency side of things. Then we're going to be looking at automation, and this is where, and also ads. So there are so many ways that you can say repurpose content that you're using in your growth and sell phase. We can reuse that with automation, which obviously cuts down your time, gets you out there, gets you seen in more places, gets you more visible. So by using the tools that are available to us, and software and apps and different bits and pieces, so we can actually be more visible without investing more time or doing more things. So you don't have to work harder, we're going to work smarter by using the tools that are available. And then sitting at the top of all of that is freedom. This is the freedom that has meaning to you. What is it that you want to see for your business? Initially, we might say sales, but typically there's something inside which it's greater than that. It could be simply the fact that you want to tell your stories and be rewarded for that. It might be that you want your stories to reach people and change their lives. You might want to make a difference in someone's life. You might just want to give somebody the opportunity to escape. Whatever freedom means for you, this is what is the pinnacle, and this is what drives you, sometimes secretly, to why you're being an author and why you're in business. So look, predictable sales is all about peace of mind. This is about more freedom to rest, more freedom to live, and more freedom to actually go and write. So you will be confident that your visibility will grow every month, not crash and burn. And it's the difference between chasing readers and actually attracting them. As we know, if you have to chase after someone or something, it actually more or less repels them. Whereas if you can attract them towards you, it's going to be a more natural process. It's going to feel better for you and for readers. And of course, they're going to share with other readers about how great your books are. So when you build your marketing system, you're building a legacy business. You're not just doing a book launch. This is the ability for you to create a checklist that, yes, helps you go through a book launch much calmer with everything done. You can actually take time off in your book launch because you've done the work. You're not reacting because you have been proactive and done all the things you need to do beforehand. So your system is what's going to turn your dream of being a full-time author into a reality. Or it's going to be what turns your author freedom thing, that pinnacle of our pyramid. Whatever that is for you, your system will help you actually bring that into place. It could just be that you want to be at peace. You want to know that your writing is doing something for your family, bringing in an income. It could be that you are fulfilling your creative need. Whatever it is, your marketing system will help you actually get that. So if you're ready to create a system that makes sense for you, that fits your personality, that fits your books and your genres, that it fits your strengths, and it doesn't force you to actually go and learn things that aren't going to help you, or that you're not interested in, that you're not going to keep up with. So if you want a system that's robust, that's tailored for you, and not somebody else's formula, then click on the link below. It'll take you through to your signature Get My Book Out There marketing system, so you can find out a little bit more about that system. I look forward to seeing you there.